Kuala Lumpur Youth Literary Arts Festival. I'm your host today. My name is Elaine Foster, and I am the founder of My Poetry School. I am also a organizing partner for the festival, along with MIDP. So far, we've had 2 days of live performances, physical performances, woohoo! Artist panels. Yesterday we had an artist panel on, God, I can't even remember now. My brain is melting. We had an artist panel, and we, from the spoken word and the theater scene, our festival is focusing on people who write for the stage. So all the people that we know from that community. Wani RD, I believe yesterday we had Alana Aslan, Adi, aka Skin. We've also had workshops yesterday and today for primary and secondary children. And our facilitators have been having a lot of fun and meaningful engagements with your kids online. Yesterday, we had an open mic at Merdekaria, which was so much fun. Most of the people that arrived had never even been to Merdekaria. So that was awesome, because my speech was that Merdekaria was home to so many people starting out in the independent performing arts scene, especially for the poets, and now it can become their home. And finally, today's second panel, plus our poetry slam later on this afternoon at Kuwash Theatre at PKKTV and TTDI. Please come and watch and support the young slammers. Guest registration is at 2:30, slams at 3. Please come, you can still register online now. So yeah, we're almost at the end of a 3-day festival, a festival that has been in the making for over a year. And when Amelia, CEO of MIDP, and I kind of conceptualized it, we were in MCO, we were in lockdown. So we didn't really imagine that the event would go physical, but we were very happy that we were able to pivot, convert into a hybrid festival, which has proven to be very successful. And of course, that's the whole point of the performing arts, is the audience interaction and the engagement with people in a space or in a room, the bodies, the faces, the energy. You can't really have it. You can't really have the performing arts without the audience. There is no theater without the audience. Just a quick kind of more details about the festival and what we're aiming to do. It's a platform for young people, to inspire young people, to create opportunities and exchanges for young people and youth who are passionate about plays, drama, spoken word storytelling. As I said, the stage aspect of writing, and of course the performance aspect. Some of us are writers and performers. We want to support the development of young writers and performers while platforming emerging talents and creating opportunities for the very important collaborations, for performances to be seen, for your work to be seen, which is exactly what our panel is about today. How do poets and playwrights get their work heard and seen beyond publishing? Like I said, you can't really have performing arts without an audience, without your work being seen. Of course, the pandemic challenged the idea of what an audience is and what a theater space is, for sure, and challenged and indeed expanded. Sense of community is very important. All of this, all of us creators and artists, we can't work without other creators and artists. And so building a sense of community is very important for us at the festival, hence getting everyone together to learn and share through these engaging, educational, and interactive activities. The festival hopes to promote literary and performing arts education to the Malaysian youth. Very important. You can't have literary and performing arts without the training of it, the teaching of it. So our festival platforms and promotes those artists who are also artist educators. The theme this year is no invitation necessary. Now, of course, we do send out invites. It's one of those things, but with that theme, I think we're trying to really just represent a spirit of openness, diversity, inclusivity, and community, which we aim to embrace throughout every aspect of our festival. Of course, we make mistakes, and we are more than happy to get feedback from the audience out there who's online today. Hello, because we're live streaming, and I'm actually here live at TTDI. We're getting ready for the slam, by the way. Hybrid means being mobile. Yes, so back to the theme, no invitation necessary. So much of our society is based on elitism and exclusivity, where access and opportunities are given based on cliques and who you know, who your parents are, how popular you are on social media now more than ever. So we want to take away those barriers, challenge these limitations and restrictions based on social status, age, gender, abilities, race, culture, religion, and all the others that limit any of us from taking up space with our creativity. We want to disrupt the status quo or rebels, the idea of closed doors, of secret entrances and locations and priority lists and private auditions. Like, how do people get into the scene? Okay, how do people start? And especially for young people, it must be very, very daunting. At KL Yalak, you don't need an invitation. You do not need permission. We encourage you to put yourself out there, use your voice, explore your potential, and make space for yourself. You are seen, you are heard, you're felt, and you're welcomed. I would now like to invite the Dean of the School of English from Nottingham University, Malaysia, who is our partner in the festival and our main sponsor, to give a welcome speech to everybody.
Hello, I'm Jason Pandya Wood. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. It gives me great pleasure to say just a couple of words to help open this really important festival, the Youth Literary Arts Festival. We are incredibly proud at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia to be supporting this event. As the descriptions say, this is a chance to break out of the box, think differently, break the status quo, and these are the things that we certainly would support. It looks like a fantastic programme. I'm really, really, really sorry to have timed a visit to the UK to coincide with it, because I feel like I'm really missing out. But this is a chance for young people to express themselves, to tell us stories, to give performances that shed light on the lived experience and the thoughts, the feelings, the attitudes, the readings of the world we live in now. All the challenges we face and the opportunities that are coming our way as we begin to emerge from what has been a very difficult couple of years, not least for the arts and cultural sector. Programme looks amazing, as I've already said. I wish everybody all success, enjoy it, and I really look forward to hearing how everything has gone and following all the pictures and updates through various social media channels. So make sure that you share your experiences that way. The University of Nottingham, Malaysia stands ready and committed to continue to support the vital contribution of youth arts and culture here in our beautiful country. Have a good time. Bye for now.
Hi, yes, I made a mistake. I'm very sorry. That is the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. Thank you so much for that. They've been wonderful partners, and without them, this festival would not have happened. Okay, so I've spoken a lot about the corporate side of the festival, but let's take a look at a bigger picture of what the festival is really about. And we're back. I hope that gave you a much better feeling of what our festival is about. And surely that is what the arts is about. Feelings, aesthetic experiences, experience through the body and the heart, not just the mind. A little bit about the partners. I've already mentioned I'm from my poetry school. My poetry school kind of started as a group of friends or just like-minded artists. And then we started putting together events, and then we went into education. Most of us were very, very interested in the education and development side of things. Now my poetry school is a leader in arts education and Malaysia's Center for Poetry Education. I'm very proud to say, having organized 6 or 7 annual poetry slams for schools, which I now organize with MIDP in conjunction with them as a partner for the Malaysian National Youth Poetry Slam. So stay tuned to all of our socials for those details. I think it'll be happening at the end of the year. MIDP, my partner in crime, the Malaysian Institute for Debate and Public Speaking, they're also an educational institution which focuses on improving soft skills literacy and accessibility in Malaysia through communication skills training, critical and creative thinking, as well as character building for various stakeholders. Now, basically that means they're interested in using the tools, the communications and the arts and of debate and public speaking to develop young people into strong, robust, resilient, engaged young citizenry. That's kind of what I think. Speaking on behalf of them, I think that's what we're both interested in. Both MIDP and my poetry school are interested in a kind of a social development and social transformation. MIDP works tirelessly with underprivileged communities as well. So when you support this festival, you also support them. And last but not least, as I mentioned, Nottingham University's School of English. Without them, without their passion for the performing arts, the passion for the literary arts, this festival would not happen. And we're looking forward to a continuing relationship with them throughout the years, as this is not going to be the last time. The School of English at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia is known globally for its global standards of teaching and research. Taught by a dynamic team of experienced and highly qualified staff and diverse academic industry experience, they offer a range of undergraduate and postgraduate opportunities in the fields of language, literature, and creative writing. So they fit perfectly into our festival. The partnership has really been a dream. But enough about what the paper says. Let's hear the kids from MIDP speak for themselves about what it's like to be part of an MIDP program.
Are you guys ready for some questions? Why is eye contact very important? Yes.
Eye contact is very important because, you know why? I give you an example. When you're talking to somebody, you look at the wall, it means that you're talking to the wall.
Why are hand gestures important? Right.
To interact with the audience, so it makes them feel like they're connected with you.
Why is it important for people to feel connected?
Okay. It's important to feel connected with people because, like, if you're not feeling connected to a person, the person will be like, I don't get what you're saying.
Alright, but why do you think emotions are important?
Emotions are very important because, so for example, if you are saying a story and you say it's supposed to be a sad story, but then you say like this: once upon a time there was a car accident, a 3-man died, one because he got killed by the wolf. People also like, why what's the speaker because they don't feel what you are talking about.
Actually, speaking of competitions, all of you are actually national champions or amazing finalists, but were you always this articulate and confident with yourself?
Well, I was not that brave at first, but but my mind kept on saying, just chill, and speak. So I did it with a positive mindset, and I did my story perfectly.
I was never this brave, and I'm still a little bit shy, But last time before I joined MIDP, I was really shy and I wasn't very good at socializing. This one time when I was out with my friend and his father, we were lining up to go to a restaurant, and then we saw this kid playing some game. After me and my friends started talking about him, then my friend's father said, "Why don't you ask him what game he's playing?" Then I said, "But isn't that weird?" Then his father said, "No, it's good to socialize." So me and my friend went over to talk to that kid. It was going really well. Then after that, it started getting really awkward. Then the kid said, "Can you guys leave me alone?"
So why did you all decide to join MIDP?
I joined MIDP because I want to further improving all my soft skills, interpersonal skills, and critical thinking skills. I know MIDP is the perfect place for me to unleash my talents, a place where I can learn and get better every day.
I joined MIDP because actually I wasn't interested in public speaking or anything like that. But then my parents said I talk a lot, so they asked me to join public speaking. But when I joined public speaking, it was actually really fun and not at all how I expected it. And then after a while, I actually started enjoying MIDP and started wanting to go there every day.
Oh, that's good.
I joined MIDP because I want to enhance my soft skills. I enjoy socializing with people, so MIDP is definitely the best place for me to express my feelings, my thoughts, and share my ideas with like-minded friends.
Welcome back. Hello. So those are the partners, myself and MIDP. It's a very, very, it's a great partnership. I think that we have very similar values. Let's get on with the show because I've been talking too much. So what I'm going to do now is introduce the moderator of today's panel, which is entitled Beyond Publishing, How Do Poets and Playwrights Get the Work Seen and Heard? So please, I would like to invite onto the stage, our moderator for today, Sharifa Alicia.
I can taste your words. I can taste
Yo, Alicia, let me just read your bio really quickly. From a young age, Alicia has wanted to write. A film and theater practitioner, Alicia graduated from the University of South Wales with a degree in film. Now a mother, woohoo, congratulations. Alicia has 6 short films to her name, and she has also written scripts for theater. In 2020, Alicia started a script writing group with a few of her fellow practitioners, and is now in its second run. An avid fan of anything to do with women's issues, religion, whoa, and even some topics that are harder to explain. Those are pretty hard, to be honest, the two together. Alicia is working towards becoming a full-time writer while working hard not to mess up her kids. You're gonna do a wonderful job. Welcome to the panel.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Also, just a quick disclaimer, my daughter is awake and is a slight distance away from me. So if you hear screams or anything, it's just know that my daughter is safe and she's just playing. Yes.
Okay, someone is looking after her. You're
Yeah.
not a negligent
My
parent.
husband is watching her right now. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna hand it over to you, Alicia, because I've been taking too much time. So go ahead and let us bring on the panelists one by one.
Yes. Hello, guys. Also, I'm not sure if we did house rules, but I just like to ask, if we can keep it fun and happy, and if we can just, enjoy our time here together. I'm very excited to be here with the Kuala Lumpur Youth Literary Arts Festival because it's really cool that young people get a space to, just be themselves and tell their stories. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm also a huge fan of one of our speakers. His name is Tung Jit Yang.
Hello. Hi.
So,
I'm on the main screen now. Hello. Hi, Alicia. Hi. Thank you.
You want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Cool. Yeah. There'll be a few of us, so I'll be quick. My name is Tung Jit Yang. I go by Jit. I am a theatre director and actor. I work full-time at the Actors Studio at the Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Centre. I also teach part-time movement. Hello, Charity. I teach at part-time at the Performing Arts Conservatory, or the Bachelor's in Performing Arts at Taylor's University. I'm here, I think, mostly because I embarked on a project called the New Play Project, where we published I think it was 4 years ago now, where we published 4 upcoming, well, they were quite, some of them are established in their own right, but 4 playwrights and their new plays in Kuala Lumpur. So it's called the New Play Project. Some of the plays have been staged here in KL, abroad as well, has been brought abroad. So yeah, that's me, and I think that's why I'm here to maybe share any insights or anything about the theatre and playwriting, which I'm a huge fan of. I've got a love for text and words and plays, of course. So yeah, thank you for having me. Hi everybody.
Yeah, hi Jit.
Hello.
So the next person that we have coming on board is Azam Rais. Azam, are you there? Azam?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly introduce myself.
Yes,
my name is Azam Rais. I am I'm a bachelor's degree graduate from Australia, majoring in accounting and finance. So I do not have any professional creative education, but that's, I guess, why my angle is a bit more different, because I think with a business mind a bit, but also have a creative flair. So I am a spoken word artist. I have I'm mostly a performative artist, and I don't have any published works in writing actually. So all of my creative work has been on stage, and actually the reason for that is because I used to stutter when I was young, actually all the way until secondary school. So I used to be quite a bad stutterer. And I ended up writing all my artworks, everything down. And then finally now, when I am not a stutterer anymore, after years of working on it, I felt like all I want to do is get on stage and perform. So that's the slight difference in what I do as well. I have been traveling to Singapore and Philippines for different arts competitions. Won a few, and I think quite a few years ago, my colleagues and I, we founded PoetX, which is a platform to progress local poetry online. So that was our target, because at that point of time, there were already recognized events and individuals and organizations that were already covering the physical sphere. So that was our mission, and still is our mission now, to get more of Malaysian local arts online. Currently, I run my own creative marketing firm and also run an events venue in Sungai Penchala called The Agam. Thank you.
Thanks, Azam. That's great.
Thank
That's
you.
a great story that you used to stutter and like the arts helped you through that. That's so cool. Okay. But before we go into that, I'm going to introduce the next speaker. I think a lot of people in the spoken word sphere would know of her very well, and that is Sheena Baharudin. Sheena, are you here with us?
Hello. Hello. Hi, Leisha. Hi, Jid. Hi, Azam. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, so let me introduce myself. And I'm trying to find something that's slightly different in terms of what I have to offer today. So for me, I have always been in the literary arts. So if you want to summarize that, I study, I teach, I read, I write, I perform, and I consume poetry, as well as the other forms of genres of literature. And I've been doing it since 2008, seriously, in terms of performing. Now, if Azam had a stutter when he was younger, for me, I have this incredible fear of performing on stage, which is the reason why it's resorted to poetry, because it's such a sort of an internal sort of process, you're solitary and all of that. But then I made a decision to start sharing. So since then, I've been doing a lot of work, collaborated with people like my poetry school, and also the other collectives as well, especially, obviously including PoetX, and I've collaborated with KL Pack as well for their stage productions. And I'm such a nerd when it comes to poetry that I actually did my PhD on the Penglipo Lara tradition, the storytelling tradition observed in the Malaysian spoken word poetry scene. However, for the past 5 years or so, I've been trying to navigate and explore ways that we can actually use technology to sort of convert something that is usually dedicated to print, aka published poetry, and how do we use technology to sort of convert that into the stage or the screen. And that's where I started playing around with multimedia poetry. And so far it has been good. I've been sharing that with my students as well, the School of English, Nottingham, Malaysia, where I teach literary studies and creative writing. And surprisingly, those multimedia poetries have found their way. They've traveled to places that I have yet to travel to for a very long time. So one of them was featured at the National Poetry Library in London. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. Thanks, Sheena. That's really cool. I love the Penglipo Lara.
Yeah, awesome
Yeah,
stuff.
I love that. Okay, so our last speaker, really quickly, is Carissa Ong.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Hey everyone. So happy to be here among legends. Okay, so I'm coming in from a different kind of angle because I'm actually from the page poet writing scene who is actually venturing into spoken word, which I do a little bit actually. So in my day job, I'm actually a digital head of product design at Imagine. I used to be the head of design at Boost eWallet. So I'm in the digital line. I also, like Azam, I don't have a degree in writing or English. I graduated from the One Academy in interactive media design. So it's a lot of web apps and basically what I do on my daily life. So I'm also the founder of Penwings Publishing, which I do on the side, other than my day job. And I published about 4 books under my name and 3 other books from other authors that I found. So you can find my books all over Popular, Kino, or any major bookstore in Malaysia, Philippines, and as well as Singapore, and also Amazon. So I started a company when I was 24. Now I'm 30. It's been 6 years. So we have sold about 32,000 books, poetry books. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that it's successful for me in Malaysia, because there's so much stigma about how Malaysians don't read and stuff, and how they can't understand poetry. So it's really like it's a very happy thing for me to understand that, you know, people actually in Malaysia do appreciate poetry and the whole art scene. So that's my great advocacy in education as well, and poetry and arts.
Yes, thanks, Carissa. Yeah, I think that's such a misunderstood thing about Malaysians, that we don't read or that we don't like poetry. I think it's like embedded in our souls that we like to read and we like poetry. We just got to remind ourselves once in a while, you know. So that's why we do stuff like this. So it's really cool that you do stuff like this. Okay, so let's get into it. Just before anything, if anybody has anything to say, like the participants or on Facebook, you can just write down in the comment section or in the chat box, and then we'll go into a Q&A session later at 2 p.m. And when we do that, I'll take a look at all the questions you might have, and I'll try my very best to get every question out there to any of our speakers. Yeah, just keep it polite. I don't know how to say. But let's start like really quickly, because it's already 1:30. Oh my God. I'm so like nervous being amongst you cool people. But yeah, let's start with Sheena and Azam. So I admittedly don't know that much about the spoken word industry or scene in Malaysia, but I'm always fascinated with it because it feels like it was very much a grassroots movement. It was like a bunch of poets came together and they just were like, you know what, we want our poetry out there on the stage or in podcasts. So can you just talk about like how you started this scene, or like how you started the KL spoken word, like how, like from like the beginning until where it is now, which is quite booming lah, in my opinion.
Yeah. Do you want to start first, Azam?
You go, Sheena. You're the legend here.
Yo, alamak, I feel so old. Legend actually means just old lah. Been around too long. Right. So the thing is that I wouldn't say that, you know, the two of us are, you know, like in the sense that we are so influential that we started the scene. The scene has already been there. There have always been people performing poetry. I mean, before spoken word poetry start coming in, sort of making themselves known in Kuala Lumpur, we've had, you know, certain venues like readings, and they've already been featuring also music events that have been featuring poetry performance. However, thanks to the British Council, they start bringing in spoken word poets from the UK to sort of just, you know, create awareness of what we can do with poetry, and especially how we can actually use it to tell our stories. So that started out in PJ. You have a group of people, several collectives, and in the collectives, you tend to have more and more. I think it's just the fact that somebody is doing it. Suddenly, those who are thinking of doing it, they realize that, wait a minute, I can do that too. And a lot of them sort of revolve around the idea of open mics. So that has been going on for a while. And then we had the KL Poetry Slam. So that also increased awareness. But I also forgot to mention that it was also during the early 2000s, between 2000 and 2010. I don't know whether you guys know this, but there was this show and it's called the Poetry Def Jam. Def Jam Poetry. It was hosted by Mos Def from the States. And what they do is that they invite both published poets as well as hip hop artists and then basically performance poets to share the same stage. So that was also one of the influences. And I think what makes the spoken word poetry scene in Malaysia, why it works, is because there are like-minded people and there is an audience for it, because the audience has already been they've been around. Now they just have more people and talents that they can watch. I don't know. What do you think, Azam?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, exactly what Sheena said as well. I don't think that I'm far from being the first or the ones who set out this poetry scene in KL. I'm merely standing on the shoulders of founders before me. Great poets who came before and who made the scene more alive, so that and created platforms and created like opportunities for people like me and those younger than me to actually get into a situation where we can perform.
Yeah.
Sheena, Elaine, all those people who have been here for a much longer time than me, I can only express my gratitude and appreciation for them, because they were the ones who basically set it out for me. And Ilya Sumanto is also the first person who invited me to perform. So I'm ever grateful to her for that. But what I can say is that when I entered the scene, I really wanted to do something different. I really wanted to create another platform that was not cannibalistic to the ones that were already there. I wanted to add to it, but not to compete with it, because that's how you create a community, I think, by adding more sections to it without taking away from the other sections. For me personally, my journey started with open mics, and of course, my first few activities, my first few performances, I bombed. But watching better poets than me, consuming a lot of other poets' performances, I think really helped me in improving myself. And I think that's the important thing as well. Like as a performer, you're always on the journey of improvement. Like you can't say for sure that at some point you're already the best or that's where you stop. There's always improvements to be made, and I think that's what's ideal. Like not only do you as a performer improve, but the scene itself also improves. In terms of sustainability, in terms of opportunities, in terms of exposure and coverage, there's always more work to be done, and that was I feel like my role in it, to kind of add to it, So again, I just stand on the shoulders of great poets like Sheena and Elaine and others. So but I hope that is kind of the direction that the younger poets also take. You take what's good from the previous ones and try to add to it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because also what we forget is like older people in the art scene. I say older, but are you
talking about me?
No, I'm talking about
I didn't use the word older, Sheena, did I say that?
I said older, not old, okay? So
veteran.
Think that, for us as the older people, what helped me out in my young career when I was much younger was older people giving me the opportunity to just go up and fail or go up and try, and it was just that. I think that's also something that the youth, something that we overlook sometimes, it's like they can't do it all by themselves. And I love that you brought that up, Azam. But I'm going to move on to Carissa now, because Carissa's story, when I heard it, because we had a chat before this whole session, was when she told me this story, I was so I'm so sorry, my baby is screaming right now. But when Carissa told me her story, I was so enamored by it, because it was a great story for me to hear, even at where I am in my career and my life. But Carissa, can you just tell us about your publishing company and why you started it?
Okay. The first thing, I honestly, when I was born till I was 17, I hated reading. I never read a book ever. And the first book I read was Twilight. So yeah, and that has made my life mission today, actually, to make book haters be writers and also poets, right? So yeah, it was Twilight. And because it was so easy and the barrier of entry was so low, right? So that's how I actually make sure my writings are layman enough and understood, but it had depth. So, but before that, I didn't have this dream at all. Like I said, I didn't like to read. So when I broke up when I was in college, I had so much time, so much emotions, and then I started to write poetry because I thought that was the romantic thing to do to your partner at the time. But after long, I started to write short stories first, and I got lazy because it took a lot of effort to write short stories. So I started to have poem breaks. And then I read and researched for 2 years. I had imposter syndrome. I was really just looking at how other poets are doing it because I don't think I can make a career out of this. I just wanted a way to cope with my feelings. So after that, I put it on Instagram and people related. And then someone actually mentioned, hey, why don't you post this? Like, why don't you just publish it as a book? And the industry is non-existent for fictional retail books or like poem books in Malaysia. Most of the poets are from overseas, like Lang Les, all that, the one that are print page poets. So I wrote the book without knowing anything. I was just like blindly courageous. So I went into the industry without knowing anyone. None of my family were in the publishing business at all. So I only had to seek advice from educational book publishers and like how they deal with distribution and all these things. And then no one wanted to publish me because again, I'm a nobody. Nobody knows me. I am not in the poem scene at all. But I only knew one spoken word poet, which is Jamal Raslan, who wrote the foreword in my first book that I published. So if you buy the book, Midnight Monologues, his foreword is still there. So he was really, really friendly and he really supported me even though I'm nobody. He gave me feedback about my book. And I'm still very thankful for him. So you can say spoken word really just really helped me. So he was really, really nice. I don't know why, it's just the people in the whole area of poetry they're just really nice. So he wrote a foreword and then I published my first book. And from that, I was 24 years old. I created my own company also because you get more money from there and also like you have more control.
Yeah.
And also admin-wise, they couldn't invoice it to an individual author. So I had to like get a company to do that. So that's how it went all the way up from there. I was very thankful because I had a lot of free press who found my story very intriguing because I was like 24 and like have my own company and stuff. But in the end, it's just, I feel like it's a lot of luck that I had. And I'm very thankful for that. And I'm still doing it today after 6 years.
Yeah, that's great. Like, how can you just really quickly, I just want to know, like, what's the last 6 years been like with this company?
It has been very, very challenging also because of distribution wise and not having enough connections. So I had to build those manually, even like to kind of get my book sold in MPH and all that. I had to email their support email. That's how I didn't know anyone. So for some reason, they replied my support email and like, okay, let's sell your book. So in the past 6 years, I've just been increasing my distribution channels, going into like video, going overseas to do events there, giving talks, reading overseas and reading locally as well in like the local scene. So it's just been very, very challenging for distribution wise. But as far as sales go, like in the bookshops and stuff, it's fine. Still reprinting and all that. People have been, I've been depending a lot on word of mouth really on the books that I'm selling.
Oh, that's cool. But yeah, I love that you just emailed MPH punya support email. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, it's ingenious and it's also really simple. Like, because, you know, when we're starting out, whatever we're starting out, we always think it's the most daunting. That's the hardest part, the first step.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
that big first step is like jumping off a cliff. But the way you did it was like, you know what? I'm just gonna email MPH punya support email.
Yeah.
And I think it's brilliant. So for anybody out there watching this, that's a great tip. Just email all the support emails that you can, and you never know who's gonna reply you.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yes. Thanks, Carissa. So now I wanna go to Jit. Because Jit, like Jit said, recently in the last 4 years, published a book of new plays, and he worked with a bunch of a bunch of playwrights, and he also worked with KLPAC, am I right, when you did it? Yeah. So I wanna like just, how do you start that conversation with this big company like KLPAC, and then like, how do you like move that? How is that process for you, like to publish it and to like go ahead? Because doing stuff like that is not easy.
Mm. Yeah, I think fortunately for me, I know the Actors Studio and KLPAC, they have done some publishing, but I also know, yeah, because I was working for with them. I mean, I still am, full time, and I was wondering whether my work with them, yeah, like I think Azam said, right, like is to add to the community, right? Like I wanted to add to the community and to the scene, and not just as a director, I guess, but like because I have such a love for plays and text, so I was wondering whether I could yeah, add to that, because I know I'm not a writer, but I know I love playwrights. I want more plays out there from from our generation, from KL. Yeah, when you say, yeah, I want to do a Malaysian play, everyone tells you, yeah, tells you to go to the classics first, right? Go to the big names first, the Jit Murads, right? But yeah, so I was wondering how about our generation? Because I came back from the States, and every young person was trying something out. There were like festivals of new readings, books of new plays. So I just wanted to add to that, to that, with my, even though I wasn't, even though my work was mainly to direct shows. So I was like, but if I don't have a show to direct, but maybe I can bring to light and bring to the page or the stage, right? Something new from KL. So yeah, I pitched the project to the bosses, of course, the artistic director and producer, Datuk Farid American and Joe Hashim. But they were very supportive. I mean, us in the theatre, directors, actors, playwrights, we all want new work. We all kind of like try to add to the to the robustness of it. So yeah, I embarked on that. They were very supportive. Financially also very supportive. It is a huge risk. Hearing how Carissa sold 32,000 copies, I'm like, oh damn, I need some advice. So I started writing down notes. How to sell books. But yeah, these plays have been staged locally, abroad. I hope to direct one of them as well next year. We got some funding. Yeah, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's great.
That will happen. Yeah. So from idea, so I really wanted to bring an idea or this. Yeah, we always, these playwrights have ideas or concepts or like worlds, words and characters they want to bring forth. So yeah, just trying to create a space a place where you can workshop, try them out, and then fully at the end of the day publish it. Because when you publish and it lasts, it's a copy that other people can replicate, and anyone now can pick up a copy or anywhere in the world, right? To stage these plays. So that was my contribution, and it was tough but very supported, very very supported, thankfully.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I just also wanted to bring up another part, because this talk is about how to get like your work seen and heard. And you, during the pandemic, you did Unity. During the lockdown, you did Unity, which was a whole play done in KLPAC, but it was shown online. Like, so I feel like you have gone from one end of publishing to the whole other end, which is like social media and being online. Like, what do you think is very much like the differences between those two things, and what do you think is like, what was the best part about putting your stuff like Unity online?
I think anybody who survived through the pandemic or did anything, kudos. It was really tough. It was really tough. The theater, I mean, like Elaine said at the top of the, right, without an audience, you cannot, like, Yeah, it was a very existential crisis, right, for a theatre maker, especially a director, right? Like, what do you mean my very job is the very thing that can cause people to get sick, get hurt, go to the hospital? It's the very act of right, getting together. That very act, the very thing I'm in is the very thing you cannot do, the very thing that causes detriment to society, to you know, yeah, I remember doing a show in Indonesia. I was acting in it right before the pandemic, right before Malaysia locked down and closed down. Yeah, I was so worried for my audience, you know, everything, every line I said, every spittle, every breath. I was like, am I a spreader? Is it getting to me? It's already in Indonesia. It was started to hear about it, but anyway, so anybody who did anything during the pandemic, fantastic. And I just felt I needed to do something. I was, like like I didn't know what to do, how to be to without work, right? Without like a purpose or a thing to do, you get lost. So yeah, Unity. It was just a play I did in college. And it is about the pandemic of 1918, and I was like, it's all coming together, it's synchronicity, and I just wanted to get out there and work. But ever since then, I've seen a lot of online shows, my colleagues, online shows, talks. This medium, which never, like a Panas Theatre, for example, another theatre company, like almost every weekend they were doing play readings of playwrights, right? Female playwrights first, local. Yeah, so I think we always find a way, I feel. The artists, I feel, I would love to hear from the three of you, like what poetry, what stuff came out, right, during this time of isolation, and even I wrote a poem even in the pandemic. One who never writes anything, right? Yeah, suddenly it came out like a poem, right?
See, that's usually what happens,
Yeah.
right? When you're so inside your head, a poem comes out.
Yeah, and then we have Carissa here who can help publish it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, I think taking the idea, I'm interested in this process. I think I don't know who. Just from overall, right? Like all of us here had ideas, feelings, some kind of mess, a woods, a breakup, right? Like, and then we had to channel it, funnel it into lines, and then we couldn't stop there. We didn't stop there. We had to take the extra step to get on stage and speak it, to put it on the page, to tell people to read it. So yeah, even in the pandemic, even in the world is ending, we still somehow wanted to do that. I got actors, right? Like doing a theatre piece is never alone. So I got these actors who all hungry, all wanting to as well, perhaps lost in this world, right? Like get together and stage this thing.
I think
Thinking back about it now, it's quite crazy. Mask on, like, oh, what are we doing here?
Yeah, but I think it was like a leap of faith also that you put it online and that you did it, because it's a whole production. It's not a bunch of people just standing on stage and just talking. It was a proper production, and you did it during the lockdown. And it's also that, right? It's like that leap of faith of just putting your stuff out there. And to a certain extent, I remember how people reacted to it, because there were people who really needed that in that moment. And I think that's like something you never realize as a creator, as an artist, is that no matter what you put out there, somebody's going to appreciate it. And I know we get very, like, I remember being young and very like awkward and nervous and with low self-esteem, that like, oh, nobody's gonna like my stuff, nobody's gonna relate to it. But you'll be surprised who relates to it. So it's always about just taking that leap of faith. And I just wanted to ask Azam, like Poet X.
Yeah.
So it's a podcast full of spoken word poets. Like, it's ingenious, and the fact that like not more people are doing it is quite interesting to me. But like, can you just talk a little bit about how you did it? Like what, like kind of like more of the mechanics to it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So when I started in the poetry scene, like I wanted to be more than just a poet. I wanted to be an active contributor to the community to help it grow. And yeah, you can just keep performing at open mics. Yeah, you can just keep working on your own art. But I wanted to be more. I wanted to do more. I wanted to help more. And so I was like literally targeting areas or opportunities in the scene which I could add to. And for example, there were already a lot of open mics. So I was sure that number one, I didn't want to do any more open mics. Poet was not going to do open mics. And number two, there was a lot of physical events already, so we were sure that we didn't want to do just physical events. So we set out to have like recording sessions where poets would come in and we would professionally record them. So we had a master editor on our team who would like master all your recordings, who would edit it and make sure that the sound is the best that it could possibly be at that amateurish level, you know. And on top of that, we also had our marketing maestro in my partner Farah Hanis, who she really thought about the aesthetics and the presentation of the art. We wanted to have a different aesthetic altogether. So we started off like printing business cards for Poet X and handing it out. We started like having really nice like photo shoot sessions with like a, you know, we had like a one light kind of thing and a black kind of dark gray kind of thing. And then our first episode was called "To Be Heard, Not Seen," because the whole thing about Poet X was that the reason why it's called Poet X is because actually we wanted to be an entry point for people who were afraid to perform physically as well. At physical stages is very intimidating, you see. And Jit, I'm sure it's also intimidating for you to like put out your work as well, especially during these times. But we wanted to make it very like comfortable for people. That's why we had this concept of Poet X, where poets could come in and record and publish their poems online without ever introducing themselves. So they would just be called Poet X, you know, an anonymous, mysterious figure, but it would not be able to link back to you. Also, in our country, there were certain like censorship things. So people wanted to speak about certain things, but didn't want to be exposed to the liability of it. So we wanted Poet X to be that platform where you can say whatever. And you'll be like produced in a masterful way, in a professional way, but still get your word out and not be able to like and not have to like hold back on certain things.
Can I say something as somebody who has been there, invited to Poet X, right? I actually find it really scary. You know, as someone who comes from this background where you have this audience and then you have that space to make mistakes and the audience does not know, but you just go along with it, you know, ad libs, apaka and all that. And that's also that energy that you get from the audience. But when I did the recording for Poet X, right, Azam, I felt so self-aware. Now, this is not a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's just a new experience.
Yeah.
The good part is that it really makes you be in the presence and you really focus on the words that you are saying.
Exactly.
And the way that it was done was so professional, which sometimes is lacking in a more amateurish spoken word poetry scene. That one really puts the emphasis on the words and the publication of that word in the audio format. So kudos to Poet X for starting that.
Thank you, Sheena. And Sheena was great, obviously, during her performance.
I
do not
doubt that Sheena was great, you know?
Yeah.
I do not doubt it at all. But like, is there a way for people to listen to these Poet X episodes?
We're on the podcast, most podcast platforms, and we Spotify as well. We have like we actually ran a website for a while, but like financial burdens like kind of contorted that a bit. You know, the other thing that we wanted to do in Poet X is that we wanted to, you know, why we wanted to have it professionally recorded is because we found out that there were a lot of people who were doing recordings, but they were not doing it in the best way possible. They were not thinking about the aesthetics of their art. They were not thinking about like how it could actually be improved in that sense. And I thought that was something that we could provide to the community, you know? So again, not cannibalizing the community, but adding to it, contributing to it and giving it a different level of production that the young poets would never have been able to, you know?
Yeah.
And like another thing is that it's very daunting, I feel, to be performing in front of people. But in Poet X, like, because it's just me and my two other teammates, like, we were hoping for them to be a bit more like, you know, something they could also take back. And we also wanted in Poet X for them to be able to earn money. Yeah. That's the important thing in Poet X. We paid all our poets. We
Yes.
the featured poets of all our events. We wanted to make sure that there was income for them. So that's why we wanted them to go away with professional recordings for themselves that they could later turn into albums, which they could sell. Yeah. So, like the other arts, like some poets, they're not really as comfortable having their works in writing. So this was a way for them to earn through recordings, through an album instead. Yeah.
That's really cool. And like one thing, and something that like all of you have said and like brought up is marketing. And I think when we're young and we're like gung ho about our work, we just want to put it out there. We don't really think about who we're marketing our work to, and like, and the importance of like just getting your name out there. So like, do you guys have any, like any stories or any tips and tricks that you would love to share with the younger people in the crowd?
Can I go?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. For me, I felt like it was important to be versatile, to be flexible, and to think about how you position yourself. I can't talk about other poets, but for myself, I knew that as a accounting and finance major, I don't really belong in this scene. So I have to think of like, I don't traditionally belong in the scene.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that the things I said, the way I did it was different from other people, because I don't think I can compete with, like traditionally classically trained poets or writers. So I wanted to do something different, which was number one, I made sure that all my works, you could only see my works mostly through live performances, not through published works, because I felt like that was a bit out of my control. How people consumed my writing would be different from how I could control it on stage. So I wanted the extra level of control in how they consume my poetry. And then I knew that like, okay, I had this stuttering past, stuttering history. So I wanted to do something a bit different. And so I wrote a poem about stuttering. I wrote a poem about how like poetry actually helped my stuttering process to actually improve, and actually brought it to the stage and enhanced all my communication and oratory skills. And then the last thing I like to say is that try to be as versatile and flexible as possible. Like approach different organizations, approach different groups of artists. Like I have, in my experience, I've already incorporated my poems into theaters. I performed at DPAC with like Ketika Bumiku Menari, which is a whole like dance ensemble, and like to have poetry in between all those dances. So think of your poetry as something that is a bit more fluid. And then I also performed with the Dewan Bahasa Pustaka Gang. So it's like the Malay scene as well, the English scene as well. And then we traveled to Johor to do Malay festivals as well. So like try to get yourself as out there as possible. Don't have a linear way of thinking of this is how I want my poetry to be done and full stop.
Yeah. That's cool.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead, others.
Yeah, anybody else?
Can I add on to that?
Yeah.
Because like what you said about spoken word having more control about how you want your audience to feel, I totally get that, because whenever I do a workshop for writing, the first thing I tell them is that you have no control about how your audience will feel when you write. So that's why I tell them it's very important to take in consideration what kind of punctuations you use, how you format your poem, like every single space or empty paragraph or like small letter or big letter, every single thing, it counts, because it counts to the volume and the emotion. So that's how I kind of portray it to them. And as for marketing a book, because I did audiobooks as well, I had my Minute Monologues book read out as an audiobook format, spoken word, and put online and distributed also. So I did this thing on Instagram, and like someone actually asked me the same question on how to market a book. So this was like my answer. It's like this whole bunch of things that I do every time I want to market a book, which includes press kits, press interviews, student interviews, promos with bookstores, SEO marketing, digital paid ads, media and influencer outreach, making sure that there's books in stock in stores, variety in distribution, talks, competitions, events, pre-order campaigns, special collaboration with partners, award submissions, and producing related merchandise.
Wow.
So that's usually what I do.
Oh my God, my brain hurts.
That is great.
That's amazing.
Sorry, Carissa, just to like clarify, you do workshops.
Yeah, I do workshops as well. Yeah, on writing. I have my latest book, which I published in 2018. As I said, I was a very big advocate for education. So I published my practice book, which is my first book that I started, where I take them through the entire process of like defining your purpose in writing until all the way up to like getting an ISBN or how to design your book cover and how to send a cover letter. So it's been doing really well, a non-fiction book. So this is my non-fiction book, which is an activity book which has many activities inside for poetry and short stories. Yeah, exercises.
That's really cool. Okay, I'm sorry guys, but this is what I absolutely dislike about doing these kind of talks is because I love having these conversations with all of you. You know, you guys have such interesting stories, such interesting points of view, but we don't have time. I have to be the person to say we don't have any more time.
Well, there's so much more to talk about, Leisha.
Yeah, that's why how we do this. But we do what we're going to do now is we're going to go into the Q&A session. So I have a couple of questions here with me. Shall we just do it? Maybe I can ask the questions and you guys can answer if you feel like you have an answer, you know, if the mood comes to you. So let's do it. First question, are there any open mics that you would recommend to young poets?
Open mic, this is poetry, right? I'm assuming it's spoken word poetry. I know that recently there is this open mic event. It's called Hush and Snap. And I think they've had already 2 events and it's definitely an open mic. It's at Glow Damansara, so you can check it out. So Hush and Snap, right? So you can check it out. Another one is obviously the place to go to if you've heard of open mic venues, and that would be Merdeka. So you can check it out. That is in Jalan Gasing. Okay, that's cool.
There's also Jalan Dalam.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay.
Raja Rao.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're also a very fun outfit. You have a lot of fun at the event. So they mix a lot of different artists and different talents. There's music. Yeah, so rappers. Yeah, so it's a very fun event. If you wanna go there and have a lot of fun, yeah, I totally recommend it. Raja's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he is.
Link up with him. Yeah.
Cool.
Jalan Dalam.
All right, cool. Jalan Dalam and Hush and
Snap and Merdeka.
Hush and Snap, cool. All right, second question. What would your advice be to someone who wants to enter the field of theatre and stage their own plays? Jit Yang.
Oh, sheesh, this is for me. So pointedly. Fuck. When everyone's talking about open mics, I was just thinking how theatre practitioners get their start. Is there an open stage? Is there a place where anybody can come and act, come and perform? So I think that's quite lacking actually, thinking about it now. Everyone's talking about open mics. So open mics for the theatre, I don't know what those, I don't think there's any of that. They're kind of like, yeah, doors are open, come do your thing, audience is here to watch, whatever. Gavin Yap last time used to do something called The Platform. That's funny enough, that's the very first thing I ever staged at KLPAC actually. The doors were open for me, someone like me, still in like just graduated high school. One of my actors in my piece was my English teacher from high school. It was wild. Yeah, funny enough, maybe I started like kind of like that in an open mic. Maybe open auditions, right? So I think that will be it. Looking for those open spaces, right? I would say a lot of people get their start with festivals, such as Short and Sweet Festival. But yeah, that's just one of the few ways. I don't know. Everyone's been doing it your own actually. So yeah, I would look out for auditions. I would look out for all the places that have kind of open submissions, calls for proposals. That's how as a writer, I guess that's how I would get into it. As an actor, I think auditions is the way, the one of the few ways. Getting into the door. Programs, workshops help you get seen by directors or by the industry. a good workshop, or if you attend a workshop and you meet like-minded individuals, that very likely can lead to future project, future connections, future ideas. So the connections are important, I think, in the theatre, and it's very small. So yeah, attending the workshops, watching the shows, are ways to just to get your to get you seen, heard, felt, and then hopefully with the short and sweet. For example, like this year, I think we've got over like 30 over plays and like 60 over submission. Like everyone's like really wanting to write and try things out, and who knows how many people are going to audition. So I think that's one of the few ways, like the open spaces, but also that just go and do it. Try it out. Get a group together and see how we can stage this thing, how you can stage your things.
Also, I'd like to add, just because I've produced some theatre before. Something that works out for me is like go watch a bunch of theatre shows and get to know the theatre people there. So you never know like the connections you make, and you never know what you learn from just having these. And I know it can be really scary, like talking to people, but it's just like putting yourself out there, and you can go as a group and tell people like, oh yeah, we're like we are working on getting our stuff out there. And the best thing you can do is perfect your proposal. Like if you have any show, if you have anything, yes, if you like find a friend who likes to produce, or like find a friend who can but the proposal is great, because what you can do is once you perfect your proposal, you can just send it to a bunch of companies, and then you never know who is going to get back in touch with you. So like, but it's a work in progress lah, you will mess up, and then you will have more questions and all those things. But as from the producer point of view, like a proposal really can go a long way. Okay, so the next question. Can you share your literary art journey and how social media influences the literary art scene? Kyle, maybe Carissa, do you have something to add to this?
Okay, that question is from...
This one, because I got it from a secret place.
Oh, okay, right. How do I put my work out there? Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Sorry, your literary art journey and how social media influences the art scene. Yeah, the literary art.
A lot of collaboration, definitely. Collaboration with people that are not from your industry is very unique also. For example, let's say, in my case, I sell books, right? So I collaborate with florists, I collaborate with gifts, and different types of, I collaborate with schools and all their clubs, and I don't know, like NGOs, like Female Quotient or TEDx and stuff like that. So using social media, it's okay, because the thing is, like, all you do is like doing influencer marketing and just kind of post your stuff there. But what really gets your work out there is that when you collaborate with someone with a bigger distribution base, that's how you can kind of launch yourself out there also, because you're also using their audience as well. Not using their audience, but basically like showing yourself there. So because if you just put it in your own social media, it's very limiting. So you have to be very proactive in collaborating with others out there, and not just in your own industry. The weirder the collaboration is, the more awkward, the more noise it will make. For example, like Tea Life and Boba, for some reason. So that it's not really that tasty, but it got out there. People started talking about it. So that's what I would say to get your stuff out there. It's very creative collaborations.
Okay, cool. I mean, that's cool. I've like never really thought about it like that.
I'm learning so much today. It's ridiculous. I'm learning so much today.
I know, Jade. That's why I don't want to stop. But we got it eventually. But you know what? I'm just going to enjoy it while it's here. So the next question. Can you tell us about the business side of being a creative? And
yes, please tell us about the business side. Sure.
Jade's like already taking out his notebook.
Yeah, please share.
And How do you go about marketing your work and monetizing it? I think that's a big question. Monetizing your work. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, shall I go?
Yeah.
Okay, for me, personally, I can't speak about others, but like I didn't want to publish any books because from a pure economic point of view, like I had a few offers from indie publishers, and it like the percentages that you would get back was not exactly rewarding.
Mm.
So that's why I took my arts to like a more exclusive way in which like the only way you could see me is if you came for my show, and then I would charge for that show.
Ah.
So yeah, I started like I guess positioning myself as I only do paid shows, you know, and I would never budge on my payments. You see, the reason why you should not budge on your payments, especially if after you've made a name, after you've kind of risen up a level a bit, you should never like drop on your fees, because if you drop your fees, how much will the younger poets below you start earning?
Yeah.
You're holding the community up in that way, you know. So if say you perform for 200 ringgit and then you know you start performing for suddenly 50 ringgit or 30 ringgit, imagine what the other poets below you are being charged, and they probably earn nothing. So Jamal Rassan spoke about this a lot in saying that how we have to create a sustainable ecosystem such that you could go from one end to another end to another end and still make money. So maybe you start off as open mics, you know, you're an amateur poet and you don't know you're not being paid for that. But slowly through that you start making a name and you start becoming a featured poet. And featured poets you get token payments. So maybe 100, 150 per performance or 15 minutes performance kind of thing like that. And then after you do that, then you maybe join some competitions and you make a name by winning some competitions. I'm just speaking from my own personal experience lah.
Yeah.
So once you won those competitions, they start to enlist you as an educator, and this is what I think my poetry does a lot as well in education and teaching how to win competitions, how to win poetry slams, those kind of things. And after that, then you start getting invited to overseas festivals. And I've been invited to ones that you know you get paid like 2,000 ringgit, 1,500 for a short trip, yeah, those kind of things. So it's a journey, and it took me several years, but it's also about positioning yourself. Like if I had gone the easy way and just Carissa, I know you're a publisher, book publisher, so I'm not like speaking on yours specifically, but the offers that I got, they weren't as attractive. So that's why I wanted to keep it exclusive. So the only way you could see Azam Reyes perform is if you came for you know a featured poet event or a Poet X event. So and I would say it kind of worked because our attendance was always high. We almost made money, and like Poet X did have quite a few thousand in the bank after, you know. So we were able to like always pay the poets on time, and we made it a point at our Ruminate events to pay higher than the market average. So we wanted to position our events as the place to get to, you know, not an entry point, but our physical events Ruminate was the place like you could get really paid. And so we did it at like Pampas. I don't know if you know Pampas area in KL, so it's like quite a fancy colonial restaurant. And then we also did it at the B Publica. So we wanted like premium, you know, really good event locations as well. Sorry? Yeah. So those kind of things, yeah. It's about positioning yourself, I think. If you really want to earn money, you got to position yourself. Think about the economics of your art. How much other people are earning, what's the market rate, and how you progress past that. What you can do past that as well. And of course, sometimes when you perform, you can also do workshops at the same time, offer that. So you like if someone approaches you and say, "Can you perform here?" Say, "Yeah, I can, but I can also do a workshop. I can also manage talents. I can also curate shows." So these are ways in which you can expand your income gaining. Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah.
I guess from an accounting and finance point of view, that was my priority. I wanted to get everyone paid. I wanted to get paid myself because everyone like money makes everyone happy, right? The venue organizers need to get paid. The event organizers need to get paid. The artists need to get paid, the marketing team needs to get paid, like everyone needs to get paid. Yeah. So you have to create a package that is like sellable for people as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's great, Azam, because also, you know, like I think in the arts, a lot of us were made to believe that you can't make money on arts. And that also makes people not want to pay artists because they think, oh, you don't make money, so we're not going to pay you. But no, actually, if you start paying us, you can start making money too. And I think it's that like what you said lah, jangan spoil market. Like don't
Jangan spoil market. Don't undercut your other artists. You know.
yourself, because in turn you are undercutting all your colleagues.
Yeah.
So great. That's a great tip. Like
Thank
Sheena,
you.
have anything to say? Like
No, I'm good. I'm just waiting for Carissa to share some tips as well.
Yeah.
So
Carissa's
that
a
I
hustler,
can take
man. I love
notes.
Carissa's hustle.
No way. Mine is just economies of scale. Like, the more I sell, the more I make. And the thing is, I still have my day job. That's why, because they pay so slow. Bookstores, they pay like 6 months once.
oh my god.
Yeah, because it's all on consignment. So if I don't sell the books, they don't give me money. So my books has to sell. If not, thankfully they haven't written any books. So that's what they do. Like some people, they print 1,000 books, they only sell like 3-4 books, and then after a while, they just return 1,000 books back to them. So it's very sad. Yeah, consignment.
Okay, cool. Then we have like a couple more questions. We'll try like if cannot, if we don't have time, it's no problem. But like we can try. So the next question is: how do you find opportunities and network in the world of the literary arts? So, go ahead, Carissa.
Because like I have no connections last time.
So you answer this question.
So basically, fortunately, because of all the free press that I'm getting, when people Google me, they find my website and stuff. So most of the opportunities find me instead of me finding them. So I've been very blessed from that. But other than that, I kind of just like Google like which kind of events I can join and see whether they have a slot for me open, and I'll just kind of join. Yeah, again, emailing random people to get like a shot. So don't be shy to just email and contact and ask for WhatsApps, and just like you said, just go to like performance art and like just kind of mingle around after the show. That's like
I think that there is, I agree with you, Carissa. I think there's a lot of schmoozing and mingling and networking happening. And it's one of those things that like I myself had to learn, just being, I'm not that social, okay? I get anxiety when I'm like surrounded with more than 10 people. But yeah, I think that's one of the keys as well, because how do you get to have your work heard and seen is basically to get your work out there, and also to get yourself out there, especially, in terms of spoken word poetry, in terms of the art that you do, you have to be there for them to engage with you. And I guess traditionally we're thinking more of word of mouth, but I feel nowadays in the 21st century, we're thinking about the digital eyeballs, just how many people can access you online as well. So
yeah, I mean, like if I were to give any advice about that, it's just like social media is a great way to make friends now. Like I made so many friends in the pandemic, during lockdown, like through social media, because like you go on your explore page and you just find like, oh, I found like art I really liked, or I found someone's baju, the fashion, or like someone who's a designer that I really liked, and I just started like DMing them in like not in a weird way, please, but it's like DMing like, oh, I really like your work and like I really appreciate it. And you'd be surprised at how people react well to that, because you would like it if somebody said nice things about your work to you. But it's just also about, putting yourself out there, but also like just being really interested in stuff around you. I don't know how to explain it, but like having fun in all the possibilities that are out there now. Okay, we have time. Okay, you know what? Let's do a really quick one because we're nearing the end, and I'm so sad. So I'm just gonna force this last question in. The last question is: how are the career options in terms of writing, poetry, and theatre?
So I like Carissa's face. It's like,
Okay, and I think this
I
is.
didn't do that sound.
Okay.
Hold on, I'm muted.
Yeah, I think Azam already like touched on this a little bit. It's like you can, as he said, you can not only go and do spoken word poetry, but you can also do workshops and you can also manage people. But maybe like, do you guys have other things like in terms of spoken word poetry or theatre, like the career options?
For me, I think that's one of the biggest questions, right? The most important questions that my students ask, right? Or prospective applicants ask, right? And the thing is that whenever we think about spoken word poetry and just like sort of narrow it down to poetry and narrow it down to the literary arts and narrow it down just to be creative, it's about communication skills. And that is one of the soft skills that is the most like sought after in the working sort of world, isn't it? How do you communicate? So a lot of my students, the ones who did creative writing, they went off either being poets themselves or dabbling in theater. I think some of them are slowly going into theater, playwriting, but there are those who are voice talents, they are in advertising, doing copywriting, they're doing what, SEO optimization, I have no idea, right? But something to do with digital marketing as well. So I think there are so many ways for you to be creative and sort of to adapt, because I think, who was the one who said that? Was that you, Azam? You said you have to be flexible and adaptable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I think that
creativity is
opens your
not
market
limited,
more.
right? Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Jit, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I've just been thinking about it and trying to think how I got here, right, into the room in the first place. And it really was an audition. Yeah, it really was yeah, like that leap of faith you talk about, Alicia, right? Like that the first audition literally landed me into the drama club, then that just started the ball rolling, you know. And the people I collaborate with, I've collaborated with for years now. I call my friends as well, you know. So yeah, I think it's yeah, it's showing up, right? Showing up for the thing. But I'm not a very social person either. I'm not one to shake hands and make connections, but I am one to say, yeah, that was really great, or I would love to work with this person, or so yeah, I think it's not some this industry, there's not something like, you know, yeah, there's an exam, there's a gate to pass, you know. It's really that, yeah, it's that, yeah, right, like Carissa said, right, it came from a heartbreak. It comes from like, right, I think if you have that thing, right, that one thing that keeps you going in this, right, like you want to hear more of these words, share more of these feelings, girl, I don't know. I think that's also very important, that kind of like, you know, like I don't think, yeah, you like coming into the industry almost like any other industry would be very different, I feel. Right, I don't think you have to go into an accounting firm. No hate on accountants at all, for sure, right? But yeah, you don't go into an accounting firm needing like a passion about, you know, a certain form or a certain Excel sheet, right? Like, but the arts is like that. You need to come in with a certain, yeah, there's a certain thing that you need to share, and I think not forgetting that, like, don't, like, that's the thing, really. That's the thing that gets you into the door. That's the thing that will get you asked again. That's the thing that will keep you writing your second book. Because yeah, without that passion, that kind of discontent with the world, with the self or something, right? Yeah, I think all the connections in the world you can make, but nothing will come of it, right? You
It's
must,
that
I think,
drive,
feel
isn't it?
that little spirit, that little, yeah,
Yeah.
energy. Mm.
I keep on telling the younger ones, right, that to be part of this, like, it's a marathon. A lot of them think that it's 100-meter sprint, but no. And when you think about a marathon, it's that whole body, whole mind, and passion, and all of that. But it's also about the people that you meet along the way, and then, you know, collective love.
Yeah. And you know, I also, like what Jit was saying, like really reminded me that in this career in the arts, I'm so sorry, my baby's so screaming, but in the arts is that the progress is not linear.
Yeah.
Nothing is it's kind of like you don't get a promotion. It's like you give yourself the promotion, but you can also demote yourself, you know. So it's like sometimes you move 5 steps forward, and then sometimes you're like 3 steps back. But it's always that constant, like Jit said, that constant push within yourself to continue this career and continue what you love. And I think that's a great note to end on, guys. This was an amazing session. Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you for moderating.
Thank you for moderating,
Thank you.
Alicia.
Audience for
Everyone was
being
really
with
good.
us.
Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you, everybody. I have enjoyed so much this conversation, and I hope everybody else really enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much to the Kuala Lumpur Youth Literary Arts Festival for having us. Man, that is a mouthful, but thank you so much. I really hope it's the great slam session later. And I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, guys.
Thank
Thank you, everyone.
you. Have a good afternoon.